It's not just about mastering technology. It's not just about brand or messaging. It's not just about making more money. It's about showing up in a big way so your people can find you. This is about bringing your most wild and authentic self into the hustle and grind. Welcome to Tactical Magic, a business strategies podcast for the warrior goddess entrepreneur.
Hey everyone, this is Molly Mandelberg, your host, and welcome to episode 7 of the Tactical Magic podcast. Today we're talking about powerful positioning. So positioning is when you, just by your being or what you say, you give yourself sort of a professional or powerful stance in the world around you. So you'll notice usually when you're watching a speaker take the stage, they'll begin by telling you some of their credentials. They might stand there in nice clothes, which that in and of itself makes them look professional and powerful. Or they might start telling you about how many amazing things they've done for their clients in the past. All of those things create a feeling of their position. Not to say better than or worse than or higher or lower than, but a sense of positioning gives people a listening for you. And what I mean by that is it gives people sort of a context through which to receive what you're having, what you have to say to them. So it's very important to do it as a speaker, but it's also important to do it anytime you meet someone that might potentially become a client down the road. So if you're at a networking event and you don't mention to anyone anything amazing about you, or if you show up in jeans and sneakers instead of perhaps something a bit more professional, there's immediately a lack of that positioning. So a lack of the energy through which people can receive you as a professional, as someone worth listening to, basically. So I have had a very interesting journey with this, and I'm going to share a few ways that you can position yourself. But I also just want to frame it in the fact that it looks really different for everyone. I'm not saying that anyone needs to go out and buy the all black wardrobe with the stiletto pumps and show up as the professional CEO businesswoman or man, depending on, as the case may be. But there are ways to show up as yourself that are going to position you as a professional, as an expert, as the person you want to be broadcasting out into the world. And, next week, I actually have Katherine Johnson being interviewed on this podcast. So you're going to get a real hit of what showing up as your authentic self looks like. But today, I just want to talk about the different ways that you can position yourself. When I started my business, I had such a hang up about what it meant to be a business owner. I thought that I, again, needed to wear all black, that I needed to have closed-toed shoes or something fancy on my feet. I thought that I needed to put up a front in some ways so that people would take me seriously. And all of that was really incongruent for me because that's not how I dress. That's not who I be. That's not my background. And it really was creating this sort of division inside me of, oh God, I'm a fraud. And who am I to show up trying to do this great work? And what's it going to take for me to feel comfortable when I go to a networking event or when I show up at a conference and want to interact with people, while also feeling like, feeling like myself and also feeling like the powerful, potent being that I truly be. So first off, I had to understand the fact that the clothes that I was wearing were kind of a costume. And I'm not going to go too deep into the clothes, but I started to uncover, with the help of Katherine Johnson, who I'm going to interview next week, that I could dress as me, as funky, hippie, magical, gypsy Molly, and still show up as a professional. And that was maybe not the clothes I already had in my closet, but that was something that could happen for me. And it was just a matter of me figuring out what that wardrobe is that isn't a costume, that isn't fake or inauthentic, but that really was still my, rainbow goddess self-expression showing up as a professional speaker, business owner, entrepreneur, woman. And that took some sort of finessing and some finagling, but I did figure it out. I'm still, exploring that in my own life, but it's doable. That's mostly what I want to tell you. Another way that you can position yourself is through results. So one way that some of my mentors position themselves, they've helped their clients make over $10 million, I think it is now. And just when they say those words and the fact that it's true, I absolutely 100% encourage you to never lie when you're trying to position yourself, because people can feel that inauthenticity. But when they throw that number off from the stage and it's true, it has such an impact for how people are willing to listen to them. So when you do the work to track the results of your clients, you begin to have the ability to say results statements like that. And this is something I've just automated in my business, which is so fun. It doesn't have to be a lot of work, but no matter what your field is, there is a way to track the results that you're getting for your clients, even if you have a product-based business. And the simple way to do this is through a survey. So asking them before and after they receive from you, how are you feeling? What are you wanting? What is your, state of being on a scale of 1 to 10? So people think that if you're not doing a sort of money niche and tracking people's income, or you're not doing something really quantifiable, that you can't create results statements like this. And that's just not true. If you create a series of, on a scale of 1 to 10, how bad is your back pain? And then take that same question and ask them after 4 sessions of acupuncture with you, you get to say, after collecting that data for a while, in general, my clients have a 90% reduction in pain after only 4 sessions. If you start tracking that every single session, you can start finding ways to talk about your numbers, talk about your results in a way that is powerful, and it positions you, and it actually lands with people in a way that says, oh, if I wasn't listening before, I'm going to start listening now, because I made assumptions about this person, perhaps. We all do it. It's inevitable. And now I know that they know something I need to understand, and I'm going to listen to them in a different way. So it actually is doing not only you a favor for how you're being received, but it's doing your listeners a favor and giving them a solid reason to actually listen to what you have to say. So there's power in positioning. The power is in you being received, and it's also in them being willing to listen long enough that they might end up saying yes and getting the results that you offer to your people. So this leads very easily into another way to position yourself, which is more online or visually sometimes, or through videos on your website, but it's testimonials. So what is one way to get better testimonials? It's actually to start asking for them. So again, the survey that you create, perhaps after someone finishes a package of sessions with you, that could include a section where you say, hey, if you were going to tell a friend about my services, what would you say? And then you ask their permission. Could I include that, yes or no, on my website? And would you like your name to be attached to it? That's another thing I automated for my business, was a testimonial form. When I get off a session with someone who's just lit up and inspired, and they see all the possibilities for their future, and they're moving like rapid fire towards their vision for their business, that's when I want to ask for a testimonial, is when they're still totally present to the magic that we're creating together. So I created a template it used to be on typeform.com, but you can totally use Google Forms, which is free and easy. I actually moved mine over to Google Forms because it functions more fully for me. That you can create a survey that asks them for a testimonial. And you would think it's just one question, what do you have to say about your experience with my business? But really, there are a number of ways that you can help inspire different types of testimonials to come out of people. And there's a few main areas. So one kind of testimonial is a basic character reference. So, I know and like Molly. I trust her. She's a trustworthy person. Another one is about the work itself. So when I went to that acupuncturist, I realized that acupuncture is a really powerful tool for A, B, and C, whatever the case may be. So about the work itself. Another is where it sort of levels you against another person in your field. So I have gone to 25 business coaches, and it wasn't until this one that suddenly I understood everything. So it sort of says, in relation to other things, that this work or this person or this business or this program has really changed my life. And it starts to bring you up in relation to other things. That's sort of a leveling testimonial. And then there's another that's just, before and after. So before I worked with Molly, I was going in circles and struggling to get anything set up. And afterwards, I feel like I understand the purpose of my business and how to go about setting up new programs and courses so that I can reach more people with ease. It's a before and an after, and people start to get a sense of what are the results that come out of working with this person. So you can actually set up the survey for your testimonials that says, hey, before and after working with me, where were you before? Where were you after? Then another question says, as a leader, coach, or healer, or whatever you are, how was just Molly in general as a person, or whatever your name may be? And you can start building the questions to invoke those kinds of answers. And then another one, I'll just tell you, because why not share this wealth with the world, that on that same survey, I ask for their name, their professional title, their permission to use those pieces of information on my site. I ask for their headshot, which on Google Forms, they can just upload a file directly. And then I ask for their permission to omit certain words or sentences from all their answers so that I can, shrink it down to a really juicy, shorter piece. Because they might have written a paragraph for each of those questions, and I really just want to pull a sentence out of each one. I get their permission right there in the form. And everybody's happy. If they don't want their picture attached, they don't give it to you. If they don't want their name attached, they don't give permission for that. But you've basically gotten all the kinds of information you need and all of their personal information and permission all in one place in one simple survey. I know I'm brilliant. You can definitely use it. Go ahead and make one for yourself. Because I think the more we do this, the more we track results, the more we ask for feedback from our people, the more we are going to be offering something of incredible value. And if you're not already inside that question, how can I add more value and contribution to my people? And how can I increase the results that they're getting? One of those ways is letting them know from the get-go what to expect from you. So having those testimonials on your website, mentioning your client success stories at your workshop, all of these are ways to give people context, give people your positioning so that they understand how to listen to you, and give them a clear idea of what they can come to you for and what they can expect to get out of working with you. It's all a really big gift to make that fully transparent, make that really obvious and clear and useful to them. So that's testimonials. Another way that you can position yourself is through your voice. And it's funny because I'm, recording a podcast here with just my voice. But your story, your experience, your path to finding your transformation that led you to do what you do, the story of how your business got built, of why you said yes to you, your future, your mission, your vision. All of that is hugely important in positioning you. I'm in the transformational sort of leadership world, and a lot of people that I know who are successful are actually helping people with things that they themselves have overcome. So struggling in business and getting better at it, struggling with chronic fatigue and mastering it and wanting to help others do the same, dealing with a child who's struggling in school and gaining the tools to help him so that she can then share those tools with others. All of these things, oftentimes your story relates directly to your people. So I'm sure you've heard it before, that hero's journey is a really important part of sharing your message. And especially when you're working with getting visible online and posting on social media, perhaps making videos, showing up at networking events, trying to reach your people with value and with connection, there is almost nothing that will invite a person to lean in and connect with you like a story will. And that can be sometimes client success stories of the transformation you helped facilitate, or it can be the transformation that you underwent as you were facilitating, or it can be just the transformation that you had to undergo to be where you are now in your business. But all of that creates this sort of beautiful, emotional, imaginative tapestry that someone can sort of wrap themselves in to get a sense of who you are and why you're doing what you do, and why working with you or referring friends to you or just being in your life would be something of value, would be something worth doing, would be something that they want to do more of and connect with. All of this is meant to sort of create or weave the tapestry of powerful and professional positioning in your life so that you start noticing people responding to you differently. If you show up to a networking event in jeans and tennis shoes and you show up the next time in a gown or a suit, you will notice the dramatic difference in how you are being received. The same is true when you have a similar get to know you, hi, I'm so-and-so conversation with someone, and you bother to throw in a little bit of positioning or a little bit of story about your mission and your big why, that the way you are received is going to be different. So this isn't something you have to figure out all at once. This isn't something you have to master in order to use it. This is something that I'm just inviting you to start playing with. What would be different if you started a conversation with a few results statements from past clients, or if you mentioned the group program that you're having great success with as you're getting to know someone? It's amazing once you're aware of these things, how you notice other people using them. It doesn't have to feel icky and salesy and weird. It can actually feel really generous to give people more information about you, more information about the amazing work that you're doing in the world. And people eat it up. It's actually really fun to receive it and to know, wow, people are doing amazing things. I want to know more about you. And the last thing I'll mention is also the willingness to be vulnerable. So I come from a long line of teachers and writers. And so I'm very much immersed in the art of storytelling, I guess you could say, and the devices that are used in storytelling to have us connect with people. And there is an incredible amount of value in being willing to be vulnerable and being willing to share even the parts of your story that bring you back down to a human level. So if you are that transformational leader standing on stage in front of 120 people or 1,000 people, that your willingness to share things that may not position you, but actually make you seem more human and relatable, that those things must occur too if you really want to build that connection with your audience and connection with your people. So the story is one thing, but touching into that low point that you may have faced, whether that was, not being able to get out of bed one morning from being too depressed to go on, and you found a way to reach out for support and get to the other side of it. Or if you help people with substance abuse and you share the fact that you have hit rock bottom in that realm, and that's why it's so important to you to support the people who are there now. There are ways to share it where you still are maintaining your positioning as the person who has gotten great results for people, or the person who has done incredible things in the world and in their business, and still has had that human moment. That it is just as valuable, as long as you keep positioning yourself to share those vulnerable moments, because there's something that happens with humans where our hearts open up when someone in front of us is vulnerable. And not to say that we're manipulating people, but in a way we are. We're using the device of that heart opening when we share something vulnerable about ourselves that allows people to open their hearts to us so that they can actually see what we're showing up with, what we're offering to them. So recognize that the next time you're on a date with someone, that don't be afraid to share the messy stuff, to share your humanity, to share something vulnerable, because it actually does allow people to open up and connect with you, to actually be present enough with you to receive your energy and receive what you have to say. So results tracking, start paying attention to the numbers of what people are receiving from you. If you can systemize that, I say do it. That's the tactical magic. Get testimonials. Make it easy for you to get them. Make it easy for people to give them to you. If you give them those prompts of what kinds of questions to answer about your work, it's so much easier for them to do it than if they just need to email you back with what they liked about your work. It's harder to come up with stuff off the top of their heads, but if you ask them those questions, you're going to get better testimonials out of them. And then lastly, share your story. Share how amazing your life is, but also share some of the stuff that feels vulnerable and uncomfortable to you, because that's where the connection is really, really potent. And that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Tactical Magic. And yeah, don't forget, you're here for a reason, and you're absolutely powerful and capable of weaving that tapestry of positioning for yourself. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks for tuning into Tactical Magic. To find out more, please visit our website, wildheartsriseup.com. Be sure to take a second and subscribe to the show, and come back next week for another edition of Tactical Magic.